Success begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in reality, because every great invention, every great fortune, and every breakthrough in human history was first created in thought before it became tangible. And Napoleon Hill, the legendary author of Think and Grow Rich, devoted his life to studying the principles of success and discovered that the subconscious mind plays the most crucial role in shaping our destiny. Which means if you learn to reprogram your subconscious mind, you can transform your life in ways you may have never imagined possible. Since the subconscious is like fertile soil, where whatever seeds you plant will eventually grow, whether those seeds are doubt, fear, and limitation, which produce mediocrity, excuses, and failure, or seeds of faith, confidence, and purpose, which produce opportunities, courage, and achievement. But the challenge is that most people allow weeds of negative beliefs and self-doubt to grow unchecked, never realizing that their subconscious is always listening, always recording, and always obeying, silently taking orders, whether intentional or accidental. And because it acts like a loyal servant that never argues or judges, it simply accepts repeated thoughts and emotional impressions as truth. Which means that if you constantly dwell on weakness, your subconscious shapes your behavior in ways that guarantee defeat. But if you dwell on strength and success, your subconscious guides you toward persistence, resilience, and growth. And this is where Hill's principle of autosuggestion becomes the key to mental reprogramming. Because autosuggestion is not idle wishful thinking, but the deliberate act of repeatedly telling yourself what you want to become until your subconscious accepts it as your identity. And the truth is, most people are already practicing autosuggestion unconsciously in a negative way every time they tell themselves, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," giving their subconscious direct commands to limit them. Which is why so many remain trapped in cycles of mediocrity. But once you reverse this process and begin feeding your subconscious thoughts of faith instead of fear, strength instead of weakness, and vivid images of success instead of failure, you begin to impress upon it new instructions that it cannot ignore, especially when repeated with emotional intensity. Because the subconscious responds most powerfully not to empty words, but to words charged with feeling and belief. Which is why Hill insisted that affirmations and visualization must be mixed with faith, since repeating phrases mechanically does little, but repeating them with passion makes the subconscious absorb them as unquestionable truth. And this explains why visualization is so powerful, because when you see your success in your imagination, when you picture yourself already living your dream with emotion and gratitude, your subconscious begins to act as if it is real, guiding you toward choices and actions that manifest it. And this can be seen in the example of someone who wants to build a business. For if he constantly says, "The economy is too weak, the competition is too strong," he will make timid and fearful choices. But if he daily affirms, "I am building a thriving business, I am resourceful and persistent, and I will overcome every obstacle," while visualizing himself confidently leading it, his subconscious will create alignment between his belief and his actions. And what many forget is that the subconscious was programmed in childhood by the voices of parents, teachers, and society, leaving behind beliefs that may still silently control their lives. Yet the good news is that these can be reprogrammed at any age using the same method of repetition and emotion. So just as harmful programming was installed over time, new empowering programming can replace it. And Hill taught that the starting point of this transformation is desire. Because without a burning desire, you cannot feed your subconscious with enough intensity to transform your life. Which is why he instructed people to write a clear, definite statement of their goals, repeat it daily, and visualize it with faith, such as writing, "I will earn $100,000 a year by building a business that helps people with honesty, persistence, and creativity," and then repeating it with gratitude until the subconscious accepts it. And he also warned that the subconscious cannot remain idle. It is always being fed either by your intention or your environment, which is why successful people protect their mental diet and avoid the influence of toxic people, negative media, and fearful conversations, instead surrounding themselves with uplifting ideas and influences, since the subconscious mind does not only shape behavior, but also affects the body through the mind-body connection, where thoughts of health and vitality increase energy, while thoughts of weakness and illness drain it. Something modern science now confirms. But even though reprogramming is powerful, it does not happen overnight, because old beliefs resist at first, and just as water dripping on stone leaves its mark only with persistence, your new affirmations and visualizations take root only through daily practice and faith. Yet once the new program is installed, transformation becomes unstoppable, especially when combined with imagination, which Hill called the workshop of the mind, because each vivid mental picture acts like a blueprint for your subconscious to follow. And while doubt may try to block the process, persistent affirmations and faith-filled repetition eventually silence doubt until the voice of faith grows stronger than the voice of fear. Though it is also essential to be patient because the subconscious works gradually, shaping habits and decisions over time rather than instantly, which is why clarity is critical. For vague goals produce vague results, while specific goals produce definite results. So a person who merely says, "I want to be successful," gives no direction to the subconscious. But one who declares, "I want to be a published author inspiring 1 million readers," provides a sharp, definite aim. And as Hill emphasized, this definite purpose, when impressed daily upon the subconscious, becomes the guiding compass of life. And the deeper truth is that your subconscious is always being programmed, whether by you or by accident. So the real question is not whether it is active, but whether you are programming it with faith, clarity, and determination, or with fear, doubt, and confusion. And once you realize this, you understand that mastering your subconscious mind through deliberate autosuggestion and visualization is the very foundation of mastering your destiny. The moment you accept that your subconscious mind is the foundation of your destiny, the next step is learning how to deliberately reprogram it through clear and structured methods. Because while awareness is the beginning, transformation requires action. And Napoleon Hill explained that the first practical tool for this is the principle of autosuggestion, which is the art of feeding your subconscious with repeated thoughts, affirmations, and images until they become part of your belief system. And he emphasized that your thoughts must be directed with purpose, because idle repetition without conviction is useless. So you must design a personal success formula and repeat it daily with emotion, clarity, and desire. For example, if your goal is financial independence, you should create a definite statement like, "I will achieve financial freedom by building multiple sources of income. I will be disciplined, persistent, and creative in my approach, and I will not stop until my goal is achieved." Then you must repeat this statement every morning and every night while feeling it as if it is already true. And as you do this consistently, your subconscious begins to accept it as reality, shaping your behavior and decisions to match. But autosuggestion does not end with words. It must be reinforced with visualization, because the subconscious responds not only to language, but also to imagery, which is why Hill insisted that you create a vivid mental picture of your success and dwell on it daily, imagining the sounds, the feelings, the environment, and the emotions connected to that reality. So if your dream is to become a successful author, you must not only say, "I am a best-selling writer," but also imagine yourself signing books for readers, receiving letters of gratitude, and seeing your work on bookshelves. Because the clearer the image, the stronger the command to the subconscious. And when words and images are combined with emotion, faith, and desire, they create an unstoppable force of mental programming that begins to shape the course of your life. Yet, autosuggestion and visualization cannot work in isolation. They must be connected to a definite chief aim, because vague affirmations without a specific purpose are like planting seeds without soil. So Hill urged his readers to write their chief aim clearly and carry it with them, repeat it daily, and meditate on it until it became the ruling obsession of their mind, for the subconscious thrives on focus and consistency. And when you give it one clear direction, it begins to align your thoughts, ideas, and actions toward that aim, sometimes in ways that feel almost mysterious, because opportunities and insights begin to appear that you had never noticed before. But this is not magic. It is simply the law of the mind, since what you constantly focus on becomes what your subconscious highlights in your reality. And this explains why people who constantly dwell on problems always see more problems, while those who dwell on solutions always see new possibilities, which means that the way you use your imagination and affirmations literally decides the quality of opportunities you attract. Another essential part of reprogramming the subconscious is emotion, because words spoken without feeling do not penetrate deeply. And Hill made it clear that faith and belief are the emotional fuel that give power to autosuggestion. So when you repeat your affirmations, you must do it with conviction, with intensity, and with gratitude, as if it is already real, because the subconscious cannot distinguish between reality and imagination when emotion is involved, which is why athletes visualize victory before competing, entrepreneurs imagine success before launching, and leaders see their vision fulfilled before others believe in it. And all of them mix their mental images with burning desire and unwavering faith. And over time, the subconscious mind begins to guide them toward actions that make those visions real, because it always seeks to bring into reality what it has been commanded to accept as truth. Hill also warned that you must guard your mind from contradictory suggestions, because every time you affirm success, but then spend the rest of the day doubting yourself, you are canceling your own programming. So consistency is critical. And this is why successful people are highly selective about the voices they listen to and the influences they allow into their environment, because the subconscious is like soft wax that is easily impressed. And if you let it absorb fear, gossip, negativity, and doubt from others, it will weaken your affirmations. But if you instead surround yourself with books, mentors, conversations, and environments that reinforce your vision, you strengthen your autosuggestions and make them more powerful, which is why your circle of influence plays a direct role in the reprogramming of your subconscious mind. It is also important to note that the subconscious does not understand failure. It only understands persistence, which means that if you repeat an idea long enough, with enough faith, it will eventually manifest, regardless of how impossible it may seem at the beginning. And Hill emphasized persistence as the twin brother of faith, because without persistence, even the strongest desire fades. But with persistence, even the most unlikely dream eventually bends to your will. And so reprogramming the subconscious is not a 1 week or 1 month process. It is a daily, lifelong discipline. And each day that you affirm, visualize, and act in alignment with your definite purpose, you are building mental muscle that strengthens the command to your subconscious until it accepts nothing less than success as your ultimate reality. Once you understand the role of autosuggestion, visualization, and persistence in shaping your subconscious, the next step is to align your entire daily environment and habits with the goal you are impressing upon your mind. Because the subconscious mind is not only influenced by what you deliberately feed it, but also by what it passively absorbs throughout the day. And Napoleon Hill emphasized that every single word you hear, every image you see, and every thought you allow to linger becomes a suggestion to your subconscious, which is why you must become the strict guardian of your mental diet, eliminating negative influences and surrounding yourself with positive, success-driven inputs, since every careless word or thought can either strengthen or weaken your mental program. And this means that if you affirm abundance in the morning, but spend the afternoon complaining about lack, your subconscious receives mixed signals, leading to confusion and stagnation. But if you consistently align your speech, thoughts, and environment with your vision, you reinforce your programming with power and clarity, which is why Hill urged people to live with a definite purpose, not just in their minds, but also in their daily actions. Because the subconscious cannot accept ideas that are constantly contradicted by behavior. And when your words, thoughts, and actions are in harmony, the subconscious accelerates the process of turning them into reality. This alignment also involves controlling the 5 senses, because your subconscious is most deeply influenced by repetition combined with sensory impressions. Which means you must expose yourself deliberately to images, sounds, and experiences that reflect the life you want. So if your goal is wealth and freedom, you should visualize yourself living in abundance. Listen to inspiring messages of success and place physical reminders of your goal where you see them daily, because the more senses you involve in your autosuggestion, the faster your subconscious accepts it as fact. And Hill suggested that people should not only repeat their affirmations aloud, but also write them down, carry them in their pockets, and review them frequently, because the act of seeing, hearing, and feeling the words again and again engraves them into the subconscious with far greater strength than words alone. And this explains why rituals and routines are so powerful, because they create repeated sensory experiences that gradually shape the beliefs and behavior of the subconscious mind. Another crucial element Hill emphasized is the role of faith, because without faith, your suggestions remain weak and ineffective. And faith is built through practice, persistence, and small wins, which means that as you affirm your goals and visualize success, you must also take consistent action that proves to your subconscious that you are serious, since every completed action, no matter how small, reinforces belief. And each success, even if minor, becomes evidence that strengthens faith, creating a cycle where faith fuels action and action strengthens faith. And this cycle is the true engine of subconscious programming. For belief without action is fantasy, but belief combined with action becomes unstoppable momentum. And this is why Hill insisted that you must act on your ideas immediately when they arise, because delayed action weakens faith, while immediate action strengthens it. And your subconscious rewards decisive behavior by amplifying your courage and creativity, gradually erasing doubt and fear from your mental system. Hill also pointed out the danger of negative emotions in sabotaging the subconscious, because emotions like fear, envy, anger, and doubt are destructive forces that plant weeds in the mental garden, and if left unchecked, they will dominate the subconscious, which is why it is essential to replace them with constructive emotions like faith, love, gratitude, and enthusiasm, since the subconscious responds more to feelings than logic. And when you choose to cultivate positive emotions, you create fertile soil where autosuggestion can take deep root. And one practical way to do this is by practicing gratitude daily, because gratitude instantly shifts your emotional state from lack to abundance, impressing your subconscious with the idea that you are already blessed and therefore worthy of more. And over time, this habit of gratitude rewires your subconscious to expect good things, which in turn attracts opportunities and outcomes that match that expectation, proving once again that what you feel deeply and repeatedly becomes the reality you live. Finally, Hill explained that the subconscious mind is not only a mechanism for personal change, but also a bridge to infinite intelligence, a universal source of ideas and inspiration that responds when the subconscious is charged with burning desire, faith, and persistence. And many of history's greatest innovators, leaders, and creators reported that their best ideas came not through logical thinking, but as sudden flashes of insight when their subconscious connected them to a higher source of wisdom. And Hill believed that by programming your subconscious with a definite purpose, affirmations, and visualization, you open the channel to receive guidance, intuition, and opportunities that align perfectly with your goals. So the process of reprogramming is not only about changing your habits and beliefs, but also about unlocking a deeper connection to creativity and universal intelligence. And once this connection is active, your subconscious begins to function as a magnet that pulls the right people, resources, and circumstances into your life, creating a chain of events that leads you steadily toward the success you envisioned. When you reach the stage where your subconscious mind is fully aligned with your desires, your affirmations are charged with faith, your visualizations are vivid, and your daily environment supports your definite chief aim. The final step is to transform this mental power into consistent achievement by living each day as if your success is already inevitable, because the subconscious mind does not respond to occasional efforts, but to constant discipline. And Napoleon Hill emphasized that the real secret to greatness is not one grand act of willpower, but thousands of small, persistent choices that compound over time, each reinforcing the belief system you have built. So if your goal is wealth, you must manage your money wisely every day. If your goal is health, you must honor your body with good habits every day. And if your goal is leadership, you must practice influence and integrity every day, because these repeated actions become proof to your subconscious that your vision is real. And once the subconscious fully accepts an idea, it transforms into an automatic habit, guiding your thoughts and behaviors with little conscious effort, which is why successful people often appear to achieve with ease, since their subconscious has been so thoroughly programmed that their default state of action is success-oriented. Hill also warned that complacency is the enemy of progress, because once people see small results, they often stop feeding their subconscious with new suggestions. But the mind requires continuous nourishment, which means you must keep growing, keep refining your goals, and keep expanding your vision. Because the moment you stop deliberately programming your subconscious, outside influences will begin to do it for you, and those influences are rarely in your favor, which is why the discipline of autosuggestion, visualization, and gratitude must become lifelong practices, not temporary exercises. And the deeper truth is that success is not a destination, but a state of mind, a way of thinking and living that continually evolves. And when you live with this mindset, your subconscious keeps leading you higher, from one level of growth to the next. Another powerful element Hill spoke of was the necessity of a mastermind alliance. Because while the subconscious is deeply personal, it is also influenced by the collective thoughts and beliefs of those around you. So by surrounding yourself with like-minded, ambitious, and supportive individuals, you multiply the strength of your autosuggestions. Because each member of the alliance reinforces the faith of the others, creating an environment where doubt cannot survive. And this shared energy imprints itself on the subconscious, accelerating achievement, while isolation or association with negative people weakens your mental power and dilutes your programming, which is why you must choose carefully who you share your dreams with and who you allow to influence your mind. Ultimately, reprogramming the subconscious for success is about mastery of three forces: thought, emotion, and action. Because thought creates the image, emotion gives it power, and action makes it real. And when these three are aligned under the direction of a definite chief aim, your subconscious becomes a magnet for success, constantly guiding you toward people, ideas, and circumstances that serve your purpose. And the most liberating truth Hill revealed is that this power is available to every human being, regardless of background, education, or circumstance. Because the subconscious mind does not care where you come from. It only obeys the instructions it receives. Which means that anyone who is willing to practice autosuggestion with faith, visualize with clarity, persist through obstacles, and act with determination can rise from failure to greatness. Success, therefore, is not a matter of luck or privilege, but of mental conditioning. And those who master their subconscious mind master their future, while those who neglect it remain prisoners of fear, doubt, and circumstance. And when you finally grasp this principle and live it daily, you discover that success is not something you chase, but something you attract. Because your subconscious, once reprogrammed, becomes a silent but unstoppable partner that works day and night to turn your vision into reality, proving beyond any doubt that the power to change your life has always been within your own mind.